The handcuffs were already closing around the old man's wrists when the little girl suddenly ran through the crowd, grabbed his hand, and refused to let go. The police officer froze. The old man looked down at her in disbelief, his tired eyes filling with tears. Nobody on that busy city sidewalk understood why a frightened little girl was standing between two police officers and a man everyone had assumed was a criminal. But within minutes, her small act of courage would uncover a truth that would change the lives of everyone watching. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of one small act to change someone's life, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Echoes of Kindness. Because sometimes, the person everyone is ready to judge is the person who has been waiting the longest for someone to understand. The old man's name was Samuel. He was 74 years old, though the worn clothes hanging from his thin shoulders and the gray beard covering his face made him look even older. He had been sleeping wherever he could find shelter for nearly a year. Once, he had owned a small repair shop and had spent decades fixing watches, radios, and broken household things for people who could not afford to replace them. But after his wife died and his shop closed, Samuel slowly lost everything. He never complained. He simply carried a small canvas bag, a battered watchmaker's case, and a photograph of his wife folded carefully inside his coat. That afternoon, Samuel had been standing outside a bakery when a young girl noticed him. Her name was Lily, and she was 7 years old. She had been walking with her mother when she saw Samuel staring through the bakery window at a tray of warm cinnamon rolls. Lily stopped and asked her mother if they could buy one for him. Her mother smiled, reached into her purse, and handed Lily a pastry wrapped in a paper bag. Lily walked over and gave it to Samuel. The old man accepted it with trembling hands, and for the first time that day, his face broke into a genuine smile. But before he could thank her, a shout came from across the street. A store owner was pointing toward Samuel, accusing him of stealing a wallet. Someone had apparently seen an elderly man near the entrance moments earlier, and a wallet was missing. The police were called. Samuel tried to explain that he had never entered the store, but the noise of the crowd swallowed his words. One officer searched his bag and found an old leather wallet inside. The situation suddenly looked terrible. The wallet did not belong to Samuel. He had never seen it before. Yet there it was, sitting among the few possessions he owned. The officer asked where he had gotten it, but Samuel could only shake his head. His hands trembled as he desperately tried to remember whether someone had bumped into him in the crowd. He knew what the scene looked like. An elderly homeless man with someone else's wallet in his bag was easy for strangers to condemn. The officer reached for the handcuffs. Samuel closed his eyes. He had spent his entire life believing that if he worked honestly, treated people with respect, and tried to do the right thing, life would eventually give you something back. Standing there on that sidewalk, he wondered if he had been foolish to believe it. Then Lily ran forward. She slipped past the adults before anyone could stop her and grabbed Samuel's hand. She held it with both of hers, looking up at the officers with tears in her eyes. She remembered something nobody else had noticed. While she and Samuel had been standing outside the bakery, a man had walked past them in a hurry. He had bumped into Samuel, apologized, and continued toward the store. Lily remembered because the man had dropped something, picked it up quickly, and kept walking. Her mother immediately called the officers over and explained what Lily had seen. The officers began reviewing the security cameras from the nearby businesses. Minutes later, the truth emerged. The footage showed another man stealing the wallet inside the store. As he rushed outside, he deliberately brushed against Samuel and slipped the wallet into the old man's open bag. Samuel had been framed. The officer slowly removed the handcuffs he had placed around Samuel's wrists. His expression changed from suspicion to regret. He apologized, but Samuel barely heard him. He was looking at Lily, the little girl who had trusted him when nobody else did. Samuel knelt as best he could and held Lily's hands. He told her that she had done something very brave. Lily simply shook her head and said she knew he was not a bad man because he had smiled when she gave him the cinnamon roll. Those words broke something open inside Samuel. For months, he had felt invisible. People walked past him as though he were part of the sidewalk. Some looked away. Others judged him before knowing his name. But that little girl had looked directly at him. She had seen a person. The story did not end on that sidewalk. Lily's mother later learned about Samuel's old repair shop and discovered that he still carried his tools everywhere. She contacted a local community center, which offered him a small room and a place to work. Soon, people began bringing him broken watches, radios, lamps, and clocks. Samuel repaired them with the same patience he had possessed decades earlier. Months later, the community center held a small gathering. On one wall was a photograph of Samuel standing beside a workbench, smiling beside a sign that read, "Samuel's Second Chance Workshop." On the counter sat a tray of cinnamon rolls. Lily was there. Samuel had saved one for her. The little girl ran into his arms, and the old man hugged her tightly. Neither of them said much. They did not need to. One had given the other a pastry. The other had given him something far more valuable, the feeling that he still mattered. Sometimes, kindness does not arrive as a grand gesture. Sometimes it is a little girl holding the hand of someone everyone else has already decided to condemn. Sometimes second chances begin because one person chooses to look closer, listen longer, and believe that there may be more to a story than what appears on the surface. And if this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes people deserve compassion, and subscribe to Echoes of Kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach someone who may desperately need a reminder that kindness still exists. Before the story ends, I want you to leave one special comment: everyone deserves a second chance. Write those words below if you believe that one act of kindness can change a life. Because somewhere in the world, there may be a Samuel standing quietly in a crowd, waiting for someone to see the person behind the struggle. And somewhere nearby, there may be a Lily with the courage to reach out a hand. Never underestimate what that hand can do.